Namaste and welcome to the Asana Sana Yoga studio. This evening you're here for our PM Hatha Yoga flow, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the music here so I can get in touch with you guys. There we go. As always, I always encourage you to listen to music on your own, and I have shared the playlist from the class as well. So let's find ourselves seated on the mat here. And come into easy seat, crisscross your applesauce here as always, and remember to switch the legs out. As the temperature is getting warmer and we're starting into this beautiful spring season here, I decided tonight we're going to have a nice cooling flow. We just had a wonderful full moon in Libra that just passed overhead yesterday. So this will be good to get our energy to kind of settle down, closing that door of that full moon energy, using the last bit of it to kind of help usher in anything that we're done dealing with and don't want to do anymore, closing out that full moon and beginning to set some intentions for our new moon. So crisscross your applesauce, and remember to get that good alignment and moving the flesh of your sits bones aside here so that you can get yourself nice and relaxed on the mat, keeping that neutral tilt in the pelvis. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Let's just sit here for a moment in quiet, grounding ourselves, releasing any stresses from the day. Go ahead and keep breathing. Get a little bit of tea there. I talk a lot during the day, so this helps keep my voice nice and smooth for you all. All right, before we start class, let's set our intentions like we always do. I will share mine. My intentions is to lead you through a wonderful cooling flow that'll help bring down the mood, lower the energy so you can relax after a stressful day. Let's go ahead and take this moment here to set some intentions for ourselves, and then we can get started. Excellent. Now let's get started with our warm-up. Let's start by gently shaking our head no. Don't worry about making smooth, wide arcs. Just start slowly easing your neck a little bit wider each time. Each exhale, see if you can get your chin to your shoulder before we move on to the next one. Excellent. Slow ourselves down to stillness here. Let's just nod our head yes. Remember, gentle nodding. Working our way up to chin to chest. Excellent. Slow ourselves down and just circle the neck to the left. Wonderful. Slowing it down, circle to the right. Wonderful. Let's slow that down, bringing us to stillness here. Let's keep our gaze to the front. Let's inhale those arms to a T. Exhale, dropping that right ear to the right shoulder. Let's use our right palm here just to gently stretch ourselves a little bit, dropping the left arm to 45 degrees. Breathing into that gentle stretch here. Excellent. Inhale that head back up to center. Let's turn to face the right, dropping the chin to the shoulder this time, using that hand to lengthen the back of the neck there. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that head up, returning the arms to the T. This time, let's exhale, dropping over to the left with that ear this time, the left ear, using the left hand as a counterbalance, dropping the right arm down, stretching the side of the neck. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that head up, turning to the left, dropping that chin to the shoulder, using the left palm to stretch the neck. And no need to pull, just use it as a counterbalance here. Excellent. Inhale, clasping the hands together like this, or even like that. Just gently nudge our neck here. Exhaling as we push our head back, stretching the front of the neck, dropping our shoulders from our ears. Just breathing. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing the head to the center, releasing the hands, palm over palm on the back of that head here. Just gently allow your hands to sit on the back of your head as you drop your chin to your chest. Bringing your shoulders down, expanding your elbows wide, stretching out the tops of the traps in your neck. Excellent. Let's inhale to release, shaking the hands out with an exhale. Great. Just drop our hands to our knees or the mat beside us, and let's just slowly begin to roll those shoulders forward. Excellent. Rolling forward, loosening up those shoulder muscles. Let's slow ourselves down and roll the opposite way here. Excellent. Let's just alternate our shoulder rolls going forward. Let's alternate them going back. Excellent. Inhale, sending those arms up overhead. Exhale, drop the right arm behind the back. Use your left palm here to just slide that elbow over. Exhaling, allowing that shoulder to open up in the front here. Stretching out the side of our body. Breathing deep. Excellent. Let's rotate that arm around with an exhale, sending that right arm behind the body, grabbing the wrist with the left, tilting the head, dropping the left ear to the left shoulder, making sure our shoulders are both down on both sides here, stretching out the rest of that arm. Now let's release that right arm. Inhale, sending it across the front of the body. Let's use the left to coax it along here. And exhale if you'd like, facing the right here for a little bit of a stretch. Excellent. Let's release that right arm. Taking a switch as we inhale, the arms up overhead, dropping the left this time, using the right to nudge our arm back. Excellent. Inhale, sending the left arm behind the back here, using the right to grab. Exhale, pulling that arm, dropping that right ear to the right shoulder there. Breathe into the stretch. Wonderful. Let's release. Inhaling, sending that left arm across the front here, using the right to extend the arm a little bit over. And go ahead and turn your face to the left this time if you'd like to do another stretch. Wonderful. Let's exhale and release, bringing the fingertips to the side of the mat here. Let's inhale, rolling the shoulders up and down the back, dropping the head. Exhaling. Taking another inhale, let's curl ourselves in. And as we take an inhale, slowly grabbing the knees here, pulling just a little bit, exhaling once we get into this concave position, sitting in seated cat. Inhale, bringing the chest open, coming into cat. Exhale, scooping the belly, sending the belly button to the spine, releasing into cow. Wonderful. Let's roll our shoulders up and down and find ourselves standing at the top of the mat. Going to take a quick tea break. Excellent. Let's actually start on the side of the mat here, facing the long side of our mat. But before we get started on our Chandra Namaskar, our moon salutations, remember cooling the body for this evening. Let's talk a little bit about alignment. I'm going to stand to the side for your benefit so you can see what I'm doing. But we just want to keep our feet hip-width apart. So you can either use your hands to check your feet, or you can just ball up your fist and kind of eyeball your feet on the other side of your fist here. Now, while we're standing, let's lift up those toes. Lean forward just a little bit so you feel like you're about to fall, and then come back. Let yourself settle into where you feel nice and sturdy, standing on your feet with your toes up. Once you feel that position, drop your toes. That's where you're supposed to stay. It's where your body is most balanced over your heels. Make sure your feet are in line too when you're doing that. Moving up to the knees, let's unlock those knees, making sure they can easily bend, keeping them nice and fluid. Let's keep our pelvic tilt here, keeping that neutral tilt. Remember, our pelvis is a bowl. You don't want to spill, so that neutral pelvic tilt with those knees nice and loose. Let's inhale, roll our shoulders up and back. This brings our ribs out. Let's bring those ribs down so they're centered right over our hip bones here, keeping the shoulders up and back and down from your ears, keeping ourselves here in attention. Let's keep our ears over our shoulders and our gaze straight forward, keeping our chin parallel to the floor. Now, when we're in four position here, you just want to gaze at the top of your mat to keep your head in that neutral position, but the alignment is just the same. Excellent. So we are starting here in mountain pose. Let's inhale, sending our arms up to the sky. Let's place our hand either in prayer pose or into Charlie's Angels pose here. Exhale, let's bend our body slightly over to the right, just the upper half of the body, keeping our hips where they are. Let's inhale, sending ourselves up to the middle. Exhale, dropping over the right side as we open up that left side body. Let's inhale, releasing our hands, taking a step to the left. Exhale, coming down into our Goddess pose. Let's inhale, straightening the arms, coming into that five-pointed star. Let's turn that foot to the right, exhaling, coming into our triangle pose. From here, let's inhale, turning that back foot to the right as well, fixing our feet as we needed. So we're going to our pyramid, coming up halfway, exhaling, coming into that pyramid pose, head to knee. Let's inhale, placing our hands on the mat, taking a step back here with that left leg, adjusting the right as needed, dropping that left knee, exhaling, coming up, crescent pose. Let's inhale as we swoop our hands right back down to the mat. Let's turn that foot forward, exhaling, coming down onto our right side. Skandasana to the right. Now you may leave your hands on the mat here for your balance. No worries. Let's inhale, dropping that left foot. Exhale, sending those hips up to the sky. Let's turn our toes to face the same direction as our knees, coming into exhale, Malasana. Inhale, placing the hands back down on the mat. Let's scooch ourselves here over to the side, dropping our foot, peeling up the right toes, Skandasana to the left. Let's inhale, turning ourselves to the left side, dropping the right knee this time. Exhale as we send our hands up into the sky, coming into crescent pose. Inhale once more as we drop our hands to the mat, curling those back toes, standing up halfway, adjusting our step. Exhale, coming into pyramid pose. Let's inhale as we turn that right foot facing the front, placing the hand in front of the ankle, exhaling, coming into pyramid pose. Inhale as we turn our left to face the front, coming to that five-pointed star. Exhale, down into Goddess pose. Let's inhale, stepping the left and right together, arms to the sky. Exhale, prayer pose. Excellent. Let's do that once more. Inhale, sending the arms up to the sky. Exhale, let's drop those hands over to the left as we stretch out the right. Inhale, sending the hands up to the middle again. Exhale, dropping over to the right as we stretch the left side. Taking an inhale, releasing the hands, stepping down into our Goddess pose. Let's take an exhale. Inhaling from here, turning the right foot to the right, sending our bodies over, exhaling, coming into triangle pose. Inhale as we turn that left foot to face the right, fixing our stance. Exhale, pyramid pose. Inhale, lifting the left to extend, scooching the right foot forward as necessary, dropping that knee. Let's exhale, coming up, crescent pose. Inhale, straightening that right foot here, turning ourselves to face the front once more as we squat down on the right, peeling up those left toes. Exhale, Skandasana to the right. Inhale as we send our hips to the sky, face our toes the same directions of our knee. Exhale, Malasana. Inhale, placing those hands back down on the mat. Let's scooch our foot facing forward as we squat ourselves down to the left, peeling those right toes off of the mat. Skandasana to the left. Let's take an inhale, drop those toes, turn the feet to face the left, drop that knee. Right this time, exhale, coming up into that crescent pose. Let's take a deep breath. Inhale through the nose, placing the hands back on the mat, straightening that back foot, coming up to face the left. Halfway, exhale, pyramid pose. Remember not to lock out your knees. Inhale, taking an adjusted step as necessary to open up our right foot to the front. Exhale, coming into triangle pose. Inhale as you turn that foot to the left, coming front, down into our five-pointed stars. We exhale, Malasana. Let's inhale, bringing our feet together. Exhale, prayer pose. Excellent. Let's do that again. Last time, you really want to make sure we warm up the body in a figurative sense, if you will, since this is the cooling flow. But make sure we're using the body in a way where we don't injure ourselves during class. So remember, feet hip width apart, knees nice and loose. Inhale the hands up to the sky, Charlie's Angels fingers or prayer hands. Let's exhale. This time, let's drop our bodies over to the right first, stretching out the left side here. Inhale, bringing ourselves up to center. Exhale, let's drop ourselves over to the left, stretching out. Let's inhale, taking a step with the right foot this time. Exhale, coming into that goddess pose. And since you know what we're going to do, let's inhale, straighten the foot, turn the left out. See? Exhale, coming down into triangle pose here. Might as well complete the circle going the other side. Inhale, it's coming up here halfway as we turn the foot. Exhale, coming into pyramid pose. Let's inhale, send that right leg out, dropping that knee. Exhale, coming up into crescent pose. Inhale here as we send ourselves over to the left this time, peeling those toes up from the right. Skandasana. Inhale, sending our hips up to the sky, wiggling our toes so that our knees and toes are facing the same direction. Exhale, Malasana. Let's inhale, finishing up the sequence to the right, turning the feet to the front. Exhale, lift the left toes off the mat. Skandasana to the right. Let's inhale once more as we turn facing the right, fixing our stance half back. Exhale, pyramid pose. Let's inhale, sending the foot back as we take an exhale, coming into our pyramid pose. No worries about that low lunge we left out. We can always get that back later. Inhale as we send ourselves up to a five-pointed star. Exhaling, goddess pose. Inhale, taking a step together, bringing the hands into prayer pose. Yes, we did leave out the last lunge. No big deal. Let's move on to our yoga flow. Let's find ourselves here lying flat on the mat. Can't be stress relief without starting out lying down. Find yourself on the mat here. Get nice and situated. If you'd like to stretch out just a little bit, go ahead and inhale, stretching our limbs, cracking the ankles. Exhale. Let's bring those hands back to our side. Now, because we are laying on the mat doesn't mean we don't have to be engaged. So let's keep our legs nice and engaged, sending our intentions as if we were standing straight up in the air on our mat here. So let's inhale, bringing the right knee to the chest. Let's go ahead and grab our peace fingers on our right finger here. Exhale, it's grabbing that toe. Let's start to stretch out as much as you can with this toe here. Coming into recline big toe. If all you that's working in your practice today is a happy baby-esque, that's perfectly fine. If you can straighten your leg all the way up, that's fine too. If you'd like to keep this other leg up as well to help with that assistance, let's go ahead and do that. But let's just hold here, breathing for 5 breaths. Breathe into that stretch. Maybe move it over to the left a little bit here. to the right. Just extending the leg. See if you can extend a little bit. If you need to release the toe, maybe grab the ankle, flexing the feet. We have 2 more breaths. Excellent. Let's inhale. Exhale, releasing that leg to the ground here. Now this time, let's inhale, sending the left knee into the chest, grabbing with our toes here with our peace fingers. Exhale, coming into recline, big toe. And remember the modifications from before, grabbing the ankle or even the calf. If you'd like to rotate that leg. Let's breathe here, holding 5 breaths. And with every exhale, see if you can bring your leg a little bit closer here. 2 more breaths. Remember, it's perfectly okay if you can't recline big toe with your fingers. As you can see, I can't either. No big deal. Let's pull it in for our last inhale. Nice and tight. Exhale. Let's release the leg, coming back down to the mat here. Excellent. Let's note the feeling in the legs here as we're starting to stretch, waking up that lower body. Let's send our feet, soles down to the bottom of the mat here. Let's take our right ankle, place it over our left knee, and let's inhale, bringing that knee up to the chest a bit here. Palm over palm behind that leg, or even in close to your fingers here. We want to make sure we keep our left foot parallel to the floor, arching that foot so that we have a nice engaged leg. Let's take a deep inhale as we pull just ever so slightly the left knee into the body. Exhale, releasing into that reclined pigeon, feeling our piriformis stretch. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. And see if you can pull your knee in a little bit further with each exhale. 2 more breaths. Take one last inhale in this pose. And as we exhale, let's release the left leg, release the right leg. Let's wiggle the hips just a little bit here on the mat. It's nice to wiggle the hips a little bit, stretching out or realigning the hips. Let's bring ourselves to stillness, switching positions, switching sides. Let's bring that that left knee to the sky this time as we place our left ankle on our right knee. Inhale, bringing that right knee up to the sky. Remember, keeping that right leg parallel, even though it's bent. Let's take an inhale, pulling our knee closer and closer to our chest. Exhaling, settling in to our reclined pigeon. And keep your knee, your knee from slouching over. You want to make sure you keep our lower back flat on the mat here. And remember to keep pulling in as you take an exhale. Hit 3 more breaths. Excellent. 2 more breaths. Let's take our last inhale, really pulling our knee into our chest here. Exhaling, releasing. Bringing the feet back to the mat. Let's wiggle out our hips just a little bit here, realigning those hips. Excellent. Now let's extend the feet down and find ourselves coming into easy seat here on the mat. Into Cobra Pose or Butterfly Pose, which is just finding our soles touching each other, leaving our knees out to butterfly here. Excellent. Let's adjust the flesh of our sits bones so we're nice in a good aligned posture here, supporting that spine and our tailbone. Now, if you'd like, you can also sit on a mat for this or a block for this. If you need a block, you can even support your knees if you'd like as well. This is your flow in your practice this evening. I won't be using those, but it is very much welcome to you. From here, we're going to go into our cradle pose. So we're just going to slide our feet over a little bit to the right. So instead of having your feet directly in front of you, slightly to the right. This is for balance. This is also where that block comes in handy if you'd like, placing it under the left knees. We're going to work on the right leg. Let's gently grab that right leg and ever so slightly and carefully place our right foot into our left elbow crook, and then take our right elbow around our right knee, clasping our hands here in the middle, either hand over hand or clasp them together, holding them in the baby cradle pose. Now let's keep our shoulders back and down as we sit up straight and tall. And then in this pose, you can go ahead and rock yourself back and forth to open up that hip here, or just hold it steady and breathe. We're going to hold here for 5 breaths. If this becomes a little bit too much with you and too much for your practice within this flow, just go ahead and release, lowering it down. You can start here too. This works just as well. Holding here, we still have 4 more breaths to go. Make sure you keep your shoulders down from your ears. And see with each exhale if you can go a little bit deeper into this pose here. 2 more breaths. Last breath. Taking that inhale. And as you exhale, just gently releasing, sending the leg down to the mat. Excellent. All right. Now let's switch over to the other side. And if you need to support for the knee for the other side, you certainly can. Remember, let's slide those feet over slightly to the left this time. Let's take our left foot, and this time it's going to be a little bit backwards. You want to stick that left knee in the left elbow. Help the right foot, the right or elbow around that left foot here, coming into the baby cradle pose. Rolling the shoulders back and down here. Exhaling, coming into that pose. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Excellent. Keep breathing. 3 more breaths. Let's take that last inhale, squeezing ourselves in tight, exhaling, releasing, sending the legs down to the floor. Excellent. Now let's find ourselves coming into tabletop here. Just for a quick moment. See our gaze at the top of the mat, right at the end of the mat there. But let's be mindful of our knees, keeping them hip width apart as well. Let's go ahead and unclench our feet, relax our bottom. That allows our middle section here to sink just a little bit, which is excellent because we want to inhale, slowly sinking our bellies as we start to rise our head, sending our hips and our pelvis up to the sky. Finding ourselves in cow pose here. Let's keep our ears and shoulders apart as we breathe deep, holding this pose for 5 breaths. Let's take one more inhale deep through the nose. And as we exhale, let's start to curl our pelvis and begin to drop our head, arching the back, slowly exhaling as we come into our next asana. Pushing our hands down to the floor, dropping the head, letting it hang nice and loose as we come into cat pose. And feel free to move your head around as you like, relaxing those muscles. Breathing here, let's hold here for 5 breaths. Let's take one more inhale. Slowly open up our knees to match the width of the mat. And as we exhale, let's just drop our chest, just the chest, keeping our hips up into the air. Sending our hands out in front of us, coming into an extended puppy pose. And for this pose, you can either rest your chin on the mat or keep it up. Or if you have a block, you can rest your chin on that as well. Relax into this pose. Holding here. Let's hold here for 4 more breaths. Allowing the hips to softly open. And let's check in, making sure that our chest is on the mat. We're keeping our ears down away from, or our shoulders away from our ears. Let's keep holding here for 2 more breaths. Excellent. After that last exhale, let's find ourselves sliding forward ever so slightly as we come down to the mat, fully laying. Let's bring our feet together here, taking an inhale. Inhale. Let's find ourselves here for a brief moment in Sphinx Pose. Just a second. Allowing that lower back and the upper back to kind of release here. Wonderful. All right, let's drop our chest down to the mat once more. I'm going to move the blocks out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. Let's send our arms to the side of the mat. And we're going to come up into our Locus Pose, and you have a few options for that. You can come into a locus with just your up chest here and your hands and feet off the mat, or you can come up as far as you'd like, placing a block underneath here if you'd like the support. Let's take an inhale, arching up into our Locus Pose of choice. Exhale, settling in. Do not let your feet drop. Make sure you're nice and engaged here, keeping the chest up and broad in your Locus Pose of choice. If you'd really like to extend your practice, you can go ahead and grab those ankles here, coming up into an extension of a bow pose, keeping those heels flexed and arch here. But if you're like me and you want to relax for the evening, no worries. Keep yourself in that Locus Pose. We have 3 more breaths. One more inhale. And with an exhale, let's release, bringing ourselves down to the mat. Let's find our hands underneath our shoulders as we curl our toes. Let's push ourselves up into tabletop. Fixing our hands, adjusting our position. Let's inhale, curling those toes. Exhale as we send our hips up into the sky, coming into our downward dog. And you can walk your feet out here if you'd like. Ever so slowly. Let's hold this downward dog for 5 breaths. Make sure that you're sending your belly button up to your spine, dropping your chest down to the mat so we're not arching, coming in like this. We're allowing our hips to bend, sending our chest down to the mat for this downward dog. Almost like how we were in that puppy pose here, except our knees are off the mat. Holding here, 3 more breaths. And let's take one last inhale. As we exhale, let's send that right foot up into the sky here, coming into that 3-legged dog. Let's send that foot forward between the hands. Let's inhale, dropping the left foot here to face the front, coming into our warrior 2. Holding here for a moment. Let's inhale, sending our hand down below the back of the leg here. Exhaling, coming into that into a revolved warrior here. Hold here for 3 breaths. And after that 3rd exhale, let's go ahead and tilt ourselves up back into warrior 2. Let's turn our left foot facing front, sending the right arm behind us. Exhale, dropping our chest to our front knee here. Humble warrior. Let's hold here for 3 breaths. Let's take one more inhale. And with an exhale, release our hands here. Let's keep ourselves in this humble position as we walk ourselves over to the left side. Let's turn the foot facing the front. Now we're in a wide forward fold. Let's keep walking those hands, turning the left foot out this time. Let's send the right foot facing front, inhaling as we cartwheel those hands, coming into that warrior one. Excellent. And from here, taking one last inhale, exhaling, coming into that revolved warrior. And let's hold here for 3 breaths. Really fill up your belly, feel your legs feel strong as we're in this Aries season here. Aries is the sign ruled by Mars, the god of war. Good warrior pose. Excellent. Let's come back up to that warrior 2. Facing the right foot to the left as well. Let's exhale, sending the arms to the back. Taking a deep inhale as we open up our chest. Exhale, dropping our chest to that top leg here. Coming into our humble warrior. Let's hold here for 3 breaths. And it's all right if you have to shorten your stance or pop your heel up a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Keep breathing here. 2 more breaths. And after that last breath, let's release our hands, bringing them to the mat. Let's keep ourselves in this low lunge position. Let's take a step back with that right leg here. Let's slowly turn the knee of the left leg out, bringing it to the front so we can drop ourselves down into a pigeon pose here. And you have options for your pigeon. You can go ahead and stag leg yourself if you're not feeling a full extension of a pigeon tonight. If you'd like, you can place a block under your hips coming into a pigeon, or you may release down into a sleeping swan if you'd like. And I think I'll hold that for this evening. But just remember to keep that back leg parallel if you keep your leg out for your pigeon, or if you want to hold up for king pigeon. But let's hold here 5 breaths. It's a nice yogi's choice pigeon tonight. Breathe into that release, into the piriformis there on the left. Feels so nice. Ever so nice. Keep that right leg engaged as we hold this pose. We have 3 more breaths. And if you're in sleeping swan, make sure you let your neck relax. Let your head just drop down between your arms here. Let's take one last breath in this pose. Send a good inhale, exhale. One final moment here, just holding. If you're in sleeping swan or however you took your pigeon, let's find ourselves here dropping down almost into a stag leg. We're going to switch our sides here. You can windshield wiper the knees coming over to the right, but let's adjust ourselves getting ready for our pigeon on the right side. Let's send that left leg out. Your right leg does not need to be parallel with the front of the mat. Sending the right out, we're going to keep those hips square to the front of the mat here. So we're facing nice and forward. You don't want to collapse yourself, keeping yourself nice and forward, nice and straight. The only time you want to collapse is if you're coming into your stag when you're sitting like that. So let's keep those hips square to the front of the mat here. Keeping them nice and forward. Keeping ourselves even on our pelvis. Let's exhale, coming into our pigeon of choice, whether it be king pigeon, keeping the hip points facing forward, or sleeping swan. Dropping here. Let's hold for 5 breaths. Keep that back leg engaged in this position, especially if you're in a sleeping swan or you're reclining of any way. You want to keep our hips squared to the mat. That way we're in proper alignment. And you want to listen to your body as well. If it hurts, if it doesn't quite feel right in a certain way, adjust yourself. Use a block. You want to make this comfortable. Yoga is not supposed to hurt. Absolutely not. We should not feel any pinches. Hold here. We have 2 more breaths, everyone. And let's take our last inhale in this pose. And as we exhale, let's find ourselves coming up to the top of the mat here. Let's find ourselves coming back into that tabletop position. I'm going to turn to face you here. Just inhale, dropping ourselves, coming into Virasana or Hero's Pose here. Let's rest our bottoms onto our heels, spreading the muscles of our sits bones aside. And let's just take a moment here. Our hips do the thing. Let's recenter ourselves. Let's inhale those hands up to the sky. Exhale, bringing them down into prayer hands as we sit in this Virasana for 3 breaths here. Excellent. Let's release, sending our hands down to the side of the mat. For our next asana, let's begin our cool down as we find ourselves in a child's pose. And once again, this will be a yogi's choice tonight. I'm going to do a wide leg, a wide knee here. I'm going to just walk my arms forward. So everyone, let's come dropping down here into an extended child's pose, whether or not you like a wide knee or not. Let's extend ourselves, stretching those arms out to the front here as we drop our hips to our feet, breathing deeply. Send all that energy into help, opening up the hips, sending the chest to the mat. And let's inhale, filling up the belly as we walk our arms over to the right, stretching out that left side body here in our extended child's pose. Inhale, filling up the belly once more. Let's walk those arms over to the right or the left this time. Exhaling, stretching out the left side body. Excellent. Let's walk those arms over to the front once more as we find ourselves sliding again, coming into that Cobra Pose. Just for a hot sec, let's take an inhale, face close to the ground. Let's adjust ourselves, finding ourselves perfectly situated on the mat here. Let's inhale, slide our hands back just a little bit so they're right underneath the shoulders. Exhale, sending the arms, straightening all the way up, dropping the head back if it's in your practice. Let's drop ourselves coming into seal pose. And let's send the inside of our elbows facing out as well, making sure that we're not locking our elbows, but we're keeping ourselves nice and secure. Dropping the shoulders down from the ears. If you need to bend your arms a little bit, that's fine too. Breathing into our belly. Holding this pose here. Keep breathing into the belly. Let's hold here for 2 more breaths. Excellent. Let's inhale, starting to see ourselves looking forward here. Let's bring our knees coming in as we come up into tabletop. Let's exhale. Let's drop our knees down, our bottom down to our knees, but keep our chest here over the knees. Send our arms behind us as we rest our head on the top of the mat here, the top of our head on the mat. Holding our feet or our ankles. Let's exhale. You can even bend your toes if you like here. Coming into rabbit pose. I like to go ahead and keep the crown of my head on the floor here. But let's just breathe into this rabbit pose. Arching our back the other direction as a counter pose here. It also helps to send our hips into an opposite motion after doing a pigeon pose and three-legged dog. It just helps to keep us nice and relaxed.
Let's take one more inhale in this pose. And as we exhale, let's find our hands sliding to the top or to our knees, almost pushing ourselves up.
Coming into that exhale, coming into a hero's pose just briefly here. We find ourselves sitting on the mat with our legs extended in front of us, coming into that staff pose. We're just going to hold our staff pose here for just a second, allowing the blood to resettle into the body, feeling the oxygen coming back. It's a little bit of a difficult pose, the rabbit pose, but it's nice. Once we're done, you feel a little bit resettled. Excellent. Let's bend the knees, sending the feet, the palms of the feet to the floor, the soles of the feet to the floor. Let's scooch our bottoms to our heels. Let's lower our backs, coming down on the mat here. Keep our heels close to our bottoms, sending our arms to the side of the mat. Let's keep the palms of our hands nice and flat on the mat, gripping with the fingers as always. And let's, as we take an inhale, let's slowly curl the hips and bring them off the mat as we come into a bridge pose. Let's keep our hips, the energy of our hips shooting forward here. And if you'd like, you could either place a block underneath you, or you can use your hands to support yourself. If you'd like to fully extend with your arms underneath you, go ahead and do that, adjusting as necessary. Breathing in here, holding this bridge pose. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. And don't let your knees collapse or open. Let's keep those knees together, just about hip width apart as they have been this whole class, sending the energy out here, keeping our bottom from dropping. We have 2 more breaths. And if you have your arms clasped underneath you, let's go ahead and release those. Taking a last inhale in this pose, let's exhale, sending our hips this time to the mat first as we gently roll ourselves down vertebrae by vertebrae at a time, finding our back completely on the mat. Let's exhale, bringing those legs down to the mat as well. Relaxing here for just a moment. Wonderful. Let's send that right knee up to the sky this time. And let's use our left palm to help drop that right knee over to the left side, keeping our hip on the mat. Let's bend the left knee that's on the floor here and see if you can grab your foot. Let's come into cat pulling tail here. Twisting as we open our hips, relaxing our body, releasing the stress of the day. Breathing into that turn here. Wonderful. Let's inhale, releasing that left foot, sliding the leg straight. Let's bring that knee, the right knee, back over to the side here. Let's exhale, releasing the leg. Adjusting if needed. Let's send that left knee this time to the chest, sending it over with the right palm. Let's bend that right leg, sending the foot to the hand if it's in your practice. If not, just bending. Coming into a side, lying side twist, cat pulling tail. And keep your shoulders flat on the mat here. This twist is just intended for the lower body. Keep breathing, holding here for 2 more breaths. Let's exhale and release that right foot, letting it slide back down to the mat. Let's inhale that left knee up. Let's keep that knee up in our chest. Send our right knee into the chest as well. Let's hold ourselves in here, hugging our knees to our chest for this last moment. Rolling out a little bit on the spine, relaxing that lower back. Maybe rotating the knees to the right, rotating the knees to the left. Maybe just side to side and up and down. Holding ourselves into our chest here. Let's take one last inhale through the nose, Exhale, release, dropping the arms and the legs and the body. Finding ourselves released into our Shavasana. And you may take a Shavasana however you like it. I prefer to lay down, hands on my belly. Let's inhale through the nose. Slow release through the mouth. And go ahead and flutter your eyes shut if you haven't already. Let's come into these king of poses, as I like to call it, resting for the end of class. And before we come out of our Shavasana this evening, I would like to do a reading for you from the Daily Stoic. This month's topic is on awareness. And today's reading is entitled, Why Do You Need to Impress These People Again? It reads, if you should ever turn your will to things outside of your control in order to impress someone, be sure that you have wrecked your whole purpose in life. Be content, then, to be a philosopher in all that you do, and if you wish to also be seen as one, show yourself first that you are, and you will succeed. Epictetus. Is there anything sadder than the immense lengths we'll go to impress someone? The things we'll do to earn someone's approval can seem, when examined in retrospect, like the result of some temporary form of insanity. Suddenly we're wearing uncomfortable, ridiculous clothes we've been told are cool, eating differently, talking differently, eagerly waiting for a call or a text. If we did these things because we liked it, that would be one thing. But that's not what it is. It's just a means to an end, to get someone to give us the nod. The irony, as Marcus Aurelius points out repeatedly, is that the people whose opinion we covet are not all that great. They're flawed. They're distracted and wowed by all sorts of silly things themselves. We know this, and yet we don't want to think about it. To quote Fight Club yet again, we buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. Doesn't that sound pretty ridiculous? But more than that, isn't it about as far as possible as you can get from the security and serenity that philosophy can provide? It's an excellent thought. Food for thought there. And with that, I invite you to invite a little bit of movement into your body by wiggling your toes and wiggling your fingers. Stretch your body up and out as needed. Bring some physicality back into yourselves here. And if you can, let's keep your eyes closed as you roll over to one side or the other, cradling your head into your arms, into that beautiful embryonic pose. Taking an inhale, let's exhale, pushing ourselves, finding ourselves an easy seat. With our eyes closed, if it's in your practice, let's inhale, sending our hands overhead, exhaling, bringing them down in prayer pose. Let's take one more inhale with our eyes shut, and with an exhale, flutter them open here as we rejoin each other in class. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining my class. I had such a wonderful time with you all today in this cooling Hatha flow. I hope you feel nice and relaxed. All the stress of the day, all the stress of traffic melted away here in our class. And as always, we have our class on our Mondays, at 5 p.m. And also we have a Saturday morning Hatha class, which is meant to invigorate the body, waking us up to take on the weekend. And as always, I will send you off by saying, be the light that you wish to see in the world. See the light that you wish to see in the world, because everybody's got a little light under the sun. Have a good night, everybody. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Excellent. Thank you for joining me. See you all later.